Gary J. Freiberg, our vinyl record historian. A couple of the topics we want to cover as we talk about the evolution of vinyl records and the need to preserve things. What about oddities? And explain to our listeners and our viewers what exactly we mean by oddities.
Well, I think this would be a good demonstration right here. Here's an LP entitled Oswald, Self-Portrait in Red. And this was released in 1964. Lee Harvey Oswald had conducted some radio interviews prior to November of 1963. And this is an album of Lee Harvey Oswald, something that we're not going to see every day. We're not probably, I would venture to say that, is this album on compact disc? I would say, I would be willing to bet no. But from a history point of view, I think it's very, very important. Same thing here with Jackie Onassis, an album of her speeches, things that are not commercially attractive, popular enough to warrant a record company to release on CD. So once again, the only format that they're available on is on vinyl. Here's one with Cassius Clay before he was Muhammad Ali.
I am the greatest.
I am the greatest. And here he has his poems about beating Sonny Liston, and it was before the Sonny Liston fight.
Now you have that in plastic. Why is that one encased in plastic?
Just so happy, this one is one that I like Muhammad Ali a lot, and
So it's a favorite.
yeah. So, but some oddities, one like this with the toilet covered up here. This is Mamas and Papas, if you can believe your eyes and ears. When it first came out, you could see the toilet. They recalled that, and
That's the famous photo of the four of them in the bathtub together.
yes, yeah, and the toilet is covered up. This is also an oddity, and perhaps from a monetary value, they may not be the most valuable. The Cassius Clay one is a value, but here's something that Disney has buried: is Uncle Remus and Songs of the South with the Taw Baby. It was viewed as being racist, and so they have buried. You'll never see anything with Uncle Remus. And this cover, of course, is the Blind Faith cover that was banned in the United States with the young girl. It was meant to illustrate that we were getting into the space age and we were leaving the age of innocence.
But that's a young teenage girl naked from the waist up.
She got a new pony for doing this. It was that. So I think that from a oddball point, again, so much of vinyl art is out of print and not able to get it. Looking at Bill Haley and the comments with the crowd, you can see the dress and the enthusiasm and perhaps the innocence back in the late 50s going over Bill Haley. Here on another point with, on this one, sniffing the tears. She's got a gun, and there's a guy laying on the floor. Again, from a controversial.
Is that music or what?
Yeah. It was music, but again, it was just a cover to try to get interest. Perhaps where she ended, she went back to here. We have Gathered Together and the San Quentin Prison Choir.
We gather together Tennessee Ernie Ford.
Yes.
And the San Quentin Prison Choir.
And so, once again, from a historical point and an oddball point, we'll never see that sort of thing on compact disc. And we might want to argue, well, how important is that into the makeup, the fabric of music history? It's there. It's something that happened and something that.
And which one's Tennessee Ernie Ford?
But one of the more controversial areas was, and you touched on this before, this is the Chantels. The Chantels were a group of four black women out of New York. When their record Maybe started to take off, the producers pulled the group off of the cover and replaced them with white teenagers. They didn't want it to be known that the group was black. And this happened a lot. Here's one with the Isley Brothers, This Old Heart of Mine, and there's a white couple shown on here rather than having the black group. So when this came out with the Gateway Singers, and there's other examples of this where there's actually mixed racial, that is really, really controversial.
What year would that have been, Gary?
This is about 63.
Gateway Singers at the Hungry Eye.
Yeah, so during the folk music era. But the fact that they're showing a mixed racial group is very, very controversial for the time.
So are they pressing new vinyl today?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of new vinyl out today, and a few years ago, it was only the top groups, Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen, groups like that, that would come out with vinyl. But now, many new groups are coming out with vinyl. One, it's popular with DJs, dance clubs, but also the fact that the industry is seeing that the medium itself has become hip. I was told that the hippest person in a college dorm is the freshman girl who's putting on a record on her turntable. So, where there's money, that's where the record companies are going to chase down that, down that avenue.
So the recording has come full circle.
Yes, and it's interesting because the loss, as you pointed out before, where you cherry pick songs, but you don't have the full experience, I think that's why we're not grieving the demise of the compact disc. We don't have the attachment to it, the memories to the little plastic disc, as we might have with a favorite record album that we've had.
I can give you 30 seconds for a final thought.
Well, music is a vehicle to our fond memories and good people, and I think that's why there's the connection with album cover art. I think it's very, very important for us to pass the baton to our younger generation, to preserve our audio history, to learn about the art and the artists that have been and how they relate perhaps to where we are today.